Okay, here we are. This episode is a Wacky News Weekend episode. Today is Thursday, but I'm doing it now because I haven't done a Wacky News Weekend in forever. I told everyone, I gave all of my listeners forewarning that I would upload a lot of episodes, and you will continue to see lots of episodes coming out the woodwork over the next few days, because I was like, you know what? I'm going to get all of this done and get these episodes up. Now, before I go any further, KIRWKC.com, main podcasting platform. This podcast is carried on Apple, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Overcast, Bullhorn, Amazon Music, Audible, and several other podcasting platforms. Please feel free to listen to this podcast on whatever platform is most convenient for you. KIRWKC on all the social media platforms. Now, that I've said all of that, this is the Wacky News Weekend. I pulled these three stories. You know how sometimes you read stuff or you see stuff on TV and you just ask yourself, what are these people drinking? What is in the air? What's going on? This is one of those situations. I'm going to start with the story that I'm sure everyone already heard about. This happened probably about a week ago. Collar-wearing tiger roams in Houston neighborhood. No, I'm not making that up if you're hearing this for the first time. I'll say it again, just so we're clear and we're on the same page. Collar-wearing tiger roams in Houston neighborhood. For those of you who are not familiar with the United States of America, there is this great state called Texas, or as some of the people in Texas say it, Texas. And there is a city in Texas. I believe it is the 5th largest city in the U.S., if I'm not mistaken, but you can do your research and confirm whether that is accurate or not. But I'm pretty sure I'm accurate on that. And it is Houston. Houston is a city. This isn't somewhere out in Montana. This is in Houston, Texas. Collar-wearing tiger roams Houston neighborhood. Here's the article. There's a lot of things we see in our neighborhoods. And with that being said, you never know what's going to happen. But even so, if you saw a tiger, you'd probably be pretty freaked out. This Houston neighborhood was, and stated it was, scary. A tiger was on the loose Sunday night before its suspected owner came and wrangled the tiger back home. The big cat was wearing a collar and spotted by neighbors. It was strolling and lounging in the front yard all by itself. Witnesses caught the tiger on camera, and you can hear somebody say it's somebody's pet in the video. Someone approached the animal with the gun. He brought a gun. Says. Okay. All right. I have to be able to get through this. We're going to get through this. He brought a gun, says one person in the video, watching from behind a window. Another says, don't kill it. The man with the gun was reported as an off-duty officer. He aimed his weapon at the tiger as the suspected owner loaded the animal into his vehicle and transported it elsewhere. Neighbors saw the animal just before 8 p.m. and said the owner was heard saying, don't shoot, before he came up to the tiger himself and leaned down and kissed the tiger. Oh boy. Okay, let me start the sentence over again. I can't. Okay, let me start this over again. Neighbors saw the animal just before 8 p.m. and said the owner was heard saying don't shoot before he came up to the tiger himself and leaned down and kissed the tiger. and then took him by his collar. The Houston Police Department was contacted about the tiger at 9 p.m. on Sunday night. Witnesses said that they saw the suspect put the tiger into their white Jeep Cherokee and flee the scene. Police officers initially pursued the vehicle but lost visual. See, this is the difference between Houston and Los Angeles. You hear helicopters all the time. They're not trying to lose the visual. Houston might need to get some more helicopters. That's all I'm saying. But I digress. Police officers initially pursued the vehicle, but lost visual and then discontinued the pursuit. We're looking for the suspect, the police spokesperson said, noting that it is an ongoing investigation. That means they probably don't have anything. Just saying. It was very scary, he said, because this is a typo, because this is a very family-oriented community. And you see lots of kids and babies strolling, and people talking, and people taking their pets and walking them. So the first thing I thought was to alert the community so everybody would stay home. Wow. That's all for that story. And see, this goes back to one of the things I was talking about for my reading for anyone who needs to hear. One of the things I mentioned, watch your small animals. That's what I mentioned in that reading. For those who are regular listeners of the Keeping It Real with KC podcast, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, that was one of the things I mentioned because see, you have this tiger and the owner knows the tiger. And clearly the owner has some type of relationship with the tiger because the owner kissed the tiger. But anybody else dealing with the tiger, I mean, tigers do tiger. That's what they do. So who's to say what would have happened? Watch your small animals is all I have to say about that. Now, this next one, again, this is one of these things where it's like, what were you drinking? And no, when I read the title of this next article, I'm not making this up. Any of my wacky news stories are all true, 100% true. It's not like, oh, let me throw this in there for fun. No, they're all true. So, yes, before doubt creeps in, this is a true story. That's why I picked it. Mafia boss busts himself with Italian cooking channel on YouTube. I can't make this up. If there was a stand-up comedian who needed some material, this joke writes itself. Let me read. Everybody needs a hobby, no matter how inconsequential it is. And any hobby becomes infinitely more enjoyable when you can share with like-minded people. But in this case, sharing your hobby turned out to be the worst possible decision. An Italian mafia boss's love for his native country's cooking led to his arrest a couple of weeks ago. Mark Farron Claude Barart, I believe I pronounced that correctly. Or should it be Biart? I believe it's Biart. 53, is suspected of being a big player in the Calabrian, in the second word, I will butcher it, but I will do my best. Drangheta crime syndicate. Italian authorities ordered his arrest in 2014 for alleged cocaine trafficking in the Netherlands. However, Biart was never arrested. He seemed to have simply vanished, leaving police no clue where he might be. We now know that Bayart, or Biart, I'll probably pronounce it both ways throughout this entire article, actually moved to the town of Boca Chica in the Dominican Republic. He kept a low profile and led a quiet life, known to the locals only by his first name. He had kept that up. He just might have avoided the long arm of the law for good, but his interest in cooking turned out to be the harbinger of his downfall. Sharing his passion. As it turns out, Bayart is an enthusiastic amateur cook. He loves Italian cooking, and he wanted to share the cuisine of his home country with the rest of the world. So he decided to do the same thing that every other hobbyist does these days. He started his own YouTube channel. On the channel, Bayart would share recipes and cooking techniques. At the same time, he'd extol the virtues of authentic Italian cuisine. It doesn't seem like the smartest thing for a wanted figure to plaster himself onto the internet for all to see, but Bayart wasn't dumb and he took precautions. He meticulously hid his face on every single video. He might also have counted on the cops not suspecting that a mafia boss would be posting hobby videos on YouTube. He bet wrong. Nice tats. According to Lieutenant Colonel, okay, I have to do this slow. Massimiliano Galasso of the Reggio Calabria police, the cops never stopped looking for Bayart. He may have evaded arrest in 2014, but the police had been trying to get back on his trail for the past 7 years. At some point, the police became aware of Bayart's wife's activity on YouTube. Apparently, everybody in their household was an avid internet user. We don't know whether the wife was posting her own videos on the platform, but whatever the case, the discovery eventually led the cops to Bayart's YouTube channel. The police knew that Bayart had in the past worked at a restaurant in Italy. Therefore, it didn't seem far-fetched to them that he might have continued his hobby even while in hiding. All they had to do now was to identify the man in the videos. But since Bayart had put in the effort to conceal his face, how were they supposed to do that? Well, he'd forgotten about one significant identifying factor: his tattoos. Bayart's sweet ink was plainly visible in the videos. The police compared Bayart's known tattoos to the mysterious internet chef, and they'd confirmed that they had their man. It was simple enough to figure out where the videos had been uploaded from based on internet data. At the end of March, the police arrested Bayart in Boca Chica. He has now been extradited to Italy and is waiting for his trial. Oh, and his YouTube channel has been taken down. Again, I can't make this stuff up. This really is a true story. Let me get to the final story, since we're on the subject of Mafia. And again, I repeat, all of my stories are real. I shall read the headline now. International Lego Mafia busted by French police. I'm going to let that marinate for just a second, and then I'm going to read the title again of the article. International Lego Mafia busted by French police. Yeah, let me just get into the article. Black markets usually provide those looking for illicit goods a relatively safe trade network, while they can offer those living under repressive regimes a chance to buy basic necessities. Mostly they're used to sell illegal stuff, like parts of endangered animals. But that's not all you can find in those shady marketplaces. You could also buy any assortment of drugs, weapons, criminal services, and Legos. Wait, what? Exactly. You read that right. French police authorities are building a case against an international criminal network dealing in stolen Legos. Last June, they caught 3 Polish citizens, 2 men and a woman, red-handed, stealing everyone's favorite toy bricks from a toy store in... I had to pause because I'm looking on how to pronounce the name of this city. Evelinus, I believe is how it is pronounced. The trio confessed that they were part of an expert thief team specialized in stealing Legos. It turns out that there are groups that are practically Lego mafias. Entire criminal operations center around pilfering Lego blocks and selling them through both legal and illegal channels. The criminals come to France, set up in a hotel in the Paris region, then set about raiding toy stores before returning to Poland to sell off their haul, explained French police officer. Next, they'll probably tell us there's some sort of Lego godfather pulling the strings. Not just for kids. But who on earth is buying these black market toys? Kids of actual mafia bosses who are trying to learn the trade. Believe it or not, there is a whole worldwide community of people who invest in or play with Lego blocks or both. Lego has quite a following with the adult fan community. Because of that, there's a huge market for Lego right now, said Chris Malloy, a Lego collector who runs the Brothers Brick website. That market has only gotten bigger over the last year, confirmed another Lego specialist, Gerben van Eycken. He said it's all due to the pandemic. Investing in these pieces isn't new, but this niche market has reached new heights with the pandemic. People have more time at home because of health restrictions, and the game market has exploded. One expensive brick. Legos don't come cheap either. The kits are pretty pricey to begin with, but the Lego Group's marketing policies can cause the prices to skyrocket. Lego tends to have products that are available for a couple of years at a time, and then they phase them out, explained Malloy. If you look at older sets that are no longer in production, they have a collector value on top of their original value. And those can go for thousands of dollars. See, I'm learning something new today. That I didn't know. As an example, Malloy named a certain Cafe Corner Lego set that cost some $150 when it was released in 2007. Since its disappearance from the store, it can now go for as much as $2,500 in its original packaging. Of course, it all depends on finding the right buyer. If somebody has nostalgia for it, or because it's a series, maybe they have all the rest of the series, but they're still missing that one, they might be willing to pay more for it. So the prices can fluctuate a bit, he added. It's not all about complete sets, though. Even single Lego pieces can sell for outrageous prices for what's essentially a tiny piece of plastic. Individual Lego pieces can actually have quite a market. There's a number of whole websites that are dedicated to selling nothing but individual pieces a la carte, confirmed Malloy. However, the single piece market doesn't see as much illegal activity. Getting a good price for Lego blocks requires a certain level of expertise. Most Lego thieves don't have that. They're in it just for the easy money, after all. A thief's favorite product. Still, with such a huge profit potential, it's no wonder those looking to turn a quick buck are attracted to old Lego kits. Lego is a very high dollar value item, especially given its relative size. So it makes it a very good target for thieves because it is such an easy product for them to resell, Malloy said. Unlike many other expensive goods, Lego sets don't have serial numbers or any other identifying information. You know what? I did not think about that. Wow. Maybe Lego should come up with something to create serial numbers for every single block and do that. That would be cool. According to Malloy, that makes it particularly easy for thieves to steal and resell them. We see reports of Lego sets being stolen on a pretty large scale fairly regularly. I see every 6 months or so new stories about that, explained Malloy. There's not really any way for a regular buyer to be able to know if what they're buying was stolen or if it's just something that somebody got as an extra Christmas gift and didn't want. The thieves aren't particularly picky about where they acquired their Lego sets from. While according to Malloy, they mostly target retail stores, the French police felt the need to warn parents about possible Lego-related burglaries. There are reports, of course, of thieves targeting individuals, people who have large collections, Malloy said. But most of the time, they're targeting the retail stores. It's just easier pickings, and it's a lot easier to sell products that are still new as opposed to used. Still, if you have a kid or a sibling who's really into building with Lego, you might want to keep your doors tightly locked at night. And those, my listeners, are your 3 wacky news stories. Thank you to everyone who's been supporting the podcast. The growth has been phenomenal, and I sincerely appreciate it. And like I said, with these 3 stories, all 3 of those stories are 100% true. And you can look them up. You can Google them or whatever search engine you want to use. But yeah, thank you again. KIRWKC.com, main podcasting platform. KIRWKC on all the social media platforms. Until next time, be blessed.